When we think of the overall concerns of the people of Newcastle, there are five basic categories. The first one is called basics, and the highest concern under the category of basics was maintaining personal health. So that's what the people of Newcastle said was their highest concern under the category of basics. The next category is family, and the highest concern under family was dealing with teen and child problems. The next category is community, and the highest concern under community was neighborhood crime and safety. The next category was hopes and dreams, and the highest concern under this category was achieving long-term financial security. And then the last category was spiritual/personal, and the highest concern of the people in Newcastle was dealing with stress under the category of spiritual and personal. So dealing with stress was the highest concern there. There was a statement that they asked the likelihood of people agreeing with it, and 94% of the people in Newcastle agreed with this statement. Public education is essential to the future of the American society. And 93% of the people in Newcastle agreed with this statement. It is important to preserve the traditional American family structure. And now there are some household segments that are established by demographic and psychographic companies. And there are a number of them, and based on the information that they found in this particular city, they established the top 3 household segments. And so here they are. The number 1 household segment in the city of Newcastle is what is called surviving urban diversity, and that represents about 21% of the people in Newcastle. These are people that have a high concentration in both young ages and old ages, which is consistent with the demographic information we looked at. Their faith involvement is slightly below the national average, but their belief in God is somewhat above the national average. Their primary concerns are adequate food, abusive relationships, and affordable housing. And the church programs that they would prefer, for the most part, have to do with food resources and daycare. Okay, so that's the surviving urban diversity group. The second highest concentration were what is called the laboring country families, and they represent about 14% of the population in Newcastle, and they're above average in blue-collar employment. Their faith involvement is above the national average. Their belief in God is high. Their primary concerns have to do with divorce, finding spiritual teaching, and abusive relationships. And the church programs that this group prefers have to do with divorce recovery, Bible study and prayer groups, and food resources. So that's the second highest, laboring country families. Then the third highest household segment is called established empty nesters, which isn't surprising given the demographic information in Newcastle. They represent about 13% of the population. Their faith involvement is about the same as the national average. Their primary concerns have to do with adequate food, personal health, health insurance, and companionship. And the church programs that they would prefer are spiritual retreats, food resources, and care for the terminally ill.